I'm John Sira, and my path to the priesthood begins back when I was in high school. For the longest time, I was kind of a going through the motions Catholic, where you showed up to Mass, you kind of stand, sit, kneel whenever you need to, but it didn't really have much of a deep connection for me. And for the longest time, going to Mass was just kind of a chore, and to the point where myself and my family fell away to faith a little bit in my early years of middle school and high school. But when I was my junior year in high school, I kind of had a little conversion moment. I started dating a Protestant girl who found out I was Catholic and asked me a whole bunch of questions about the faith. And like any guy, I didn't want to look like a fool in front of her, so I did what any guy would do. I go back home and I Google all the questions she's asking me, you know, looking at these sites, and I call my grandma up, who used to own a Catholic bookstore. I'm like, hey grandma, what's the Catholic teaching on the Eucharist, and where do you find that in the Bible? Because any question she'd ask me, like, okay, so you believe in X, Y, and Z, where's that in the Bible? So I really kind of learned a lot about my faith, and the more I was digging, which at first was just kind of to impress this girl that I met, it eventually I just found out there's a lot of truth behind it. And a lot of that just resounded, and it's kind of like I tapped into a gold mine. So I first just started doing research for less than noble intentions, but then when I fell in love with it, I just kept on going, kept on reading and reading. I mean, I read the Bible in half a year. I loved every single passage of it. Of course, while I learned more about the faith, the more I fell in love with Jesus, and the more I began to pick up the prayers. And actually, before I started going back to Mass, I picked up the Rosary. I actually was saying the Rosary before Mass, so thank Mary for that, because she led me to come back to the Mass, the Holy Sacrament of the Mass. And the biggest blessing is just being in God's church, being where He wants me to be, and doing what He wants me to do. It's just been such a great blessing to, you wake up every morning and like, yeah, I'm doing God's work today. God's work is my job. It's my livelihood. I wake up, I get to go out and tell people, yeah, I'm a seminarian. I serve the Church of God. I help people. I help people with conversions. I help people with their struggles, their sins. And it's just glorious to help people with that. And I really encourage people, if you are young and think about vocation, to do that. And my biggest piece of advice to you is be yourself. God wants you. Has He called you? Don't think you have to be some, holy, levitating 3 feet off the ground person. Don't think that. Be you. You're perfect the way God made you to be, and that's who He wants you to be for His priest.